Welcome to the video electricians don't want you to see. These are some of my favorite electrical products that'll make your next project DIY friendly. Today I'm showing you a bunch of small upgrades that make a big difference. For projects like these, DIY is essential. I know for a lot of you guys out there, doing small electrical tasks can seem a little overwhelming, but that's just because you lack just a little bit of knowledge. At the end of the day, electricians in North America are trained like brain surgeons in a hospital. But for all of this kind of work, you only need to know how to change the bedpan. It's really simple, a couple of simple steps, a couple of simple tools, and you can upgrade all the electrical fixtures and products in your home so that you can take advantage of all the best options on the market. And you can do all the repairs and fix all those broken switches that are around your house without having to incur a $500 bill for an electrician to show up for 30 minutes. Now here's a product that's one of those why didn't I do this sooner kind of products, right? This is what we call a motion sensor switch. You can take out your old light switches that are just a toggle on and off in any room in the house where somebody just leaves the lights on and just drains the wallet. So this is good for the garage, the mudroom, closets. I'm putting mine in my bathroom. All right, well here's my bathroom, guys, and I've got a light switch for my lights on the vanity. I got a light switch for the light for the shower, and I've got this switch which runs my fan, which is on constant power because it has a humidistat and a motion sensor. So the fan always works when somebody comes in here. What I want to do is switch out this light, which is, you know, it's got a dimmer, that's cute, but I want to have this on constantly. When someone walks in the room, the light turns on, right? So, because it's it's a triple, I got to get rid of all the screws. That is my wire to my lights. There we go. That is going to be the power to the whole box, because all those wires, one wire in, one wire to each one of these switches. I just have to remove this for now. And here's my grounds. Take that off. Now the old switch is removed. In order to get to the whites, I got to move another switch. This is just site specific, guys, because that moret is hiding in behind. Here is our switch. Now you're going to remember these come with the optional wires for a lot of different configurations. The Traveler is the yellow one. That's for three-way, not effect. Then we have this one here. This is the neutral, the white wire. Also, not using that one, okay? We have this one. This is a line/load, and this one's a line/load. So both these blacks are labeled the same. But if you follow the diagram, you'll see that the one on the bottom here, coming out of the bottom of the switch, that's the load. That's going to the fixtures. And the line is this one. That's the line wire. It refers to the hot coming from the panel, all right? And this one, the load, refers to going to deliver. So the line is incoming power, the load is delivering to the fixture, all right? That's all we gotta remember. Remember, this one was going to the fixture, okay? And so that's what this one is. So that makes this black. We'll peel this off, is gonna be going in here. Take that off, and then we're going to twist all of that together. This is going to the fixture. We're going to line those up, and we're going to just twist and twist and twist. Get all those twists in, all right? And then this is my ground. These two are going to go together. Everything is connected now, right? So this should work. There we go. We can set them on, and then we can leave it. It'll turn itself off, and then every time someone walks to the room, the lights will turn themselves back on again. Now the secret here is getting all of these wires back in here without blowing anything up. All right. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to program the light switch right now. I'm going to leave that up to my wife. She can decide how she wants it done. Here's the instructions, baby. All right. On to the next one. Next up is an upgrade that you're going to want to have in your home because it cleans everything up instantly. USB-A and USB-C built into your wall plug receptacles, okay? This is amazing. If you have a kitchen island, it's always the same thing. Somebody comes over and they want to plug in their device and they've got their cord, but they don't have their silly little block that goes with it, okay? Be careful when you're buying your replacement. This plug has two vertical lines. This is what you get with a 15 amp circuit. This has a T on the one side. This is for a 20 amp circuit. So make sure you replace the right shape. You don't want to go use a 15 if you've got a 20 amp supply, all right? And I actually need one of these because I'm going crazy with all the extra wires and cables around my island. So I'm going to go install this in my kitchen right now. Step one, turn off your breaker. Throw in a plug tester. It lights up when there's power. I'll go flick the breakers and make sure that the light goes out. Now that the light's out, we know we're not playing with live power, which is important. Here we go. Start with the faceplate. We're gonna reveal the old plug. I'm gonna show you a little trick here. When you're rewiring a plug, the last thing you wanna do is try to save it from the back. Just cut them off. Because it's been bent when it was thrown inside the box, it's a weak spot. And if you rely on an old weak connection in your new plug, chances are it'll break off while you're reinstalling it. So start with some new wire, get your wire strippers out, get a new piece, about 3/4 of an inch. There we go. This kind of plug, you can wrap the screw or you can do the rear mount as well. Okay, and that's what we're gonna do. First of all, in order to install this, it's really kind of simple. This is the end of the run. So there's only one wire. So we just gotta wrap our green screw, which is our ground. Screw that one on. Nice and tight. And then the secret is we have a brass screw and we have a silver screw. So B to B, black to brass, all right? And white to white or silver. You see the brass plate in behind the screw? It's at the bottom. When we flip it upside down, it reveals the trap door. I'm going to put the white to the silver screw and the black to the brass screw. Hold them in position and not put the sheathing in behind that metal plate. You want to have it just making contact. That's a perfect rear connection, okay? T goes to the left side, all right? And what we want to do is reach in the box here, push up on the wires, and with your thumb pull down on the wires, and then you want to bend it the other way again. So now it collapses when you push it in. Okay? This is really as simple as it gets. And because the amount of power here, we are going to put this in all the way before we test to see if I turn the breaker back on, because we want to guarantee that the screws aren't touching the metal box. Push that over as far as I can to the right and get a nice solid, there you go, perfect contact. Now, we're gonna put the tester back in. I'm gonna flip the breaker back on and that should go back to lit up. There we go, 30 bucks, 5 minutes, and you can be your own electrician. Now that is a great upgrade. Next, there's two type of quick connects on the market. The first kind of connector, what you do is you take the connector and you push it in and you can see it come out through the other side, and they come in different amounts. You can get 3s, 4s, 5s, 2s, whatever it is. Okay, now they don't pull off. The only way to disconnect that is to cut it off. And that makes the connector garbage. I'm not a big fan of that. So what I'm gonna recommend you do, go out and buy the Wago brand. They have huge kits, they come in 2, 3s, 4s, 5s. This is a 3, okay? And yes, these are actually acceptable in Canada and the USA. They've been approved by all the electrical people. You put it in, you close the gate. You put it in, you close the gate, okay? Again, they don't pull off, but you can open the gate and remove the wire again. So while you're working, if you accidentally put the wrong one in, you can just simply take it out and you aren't throwing your connector in the garbage and you aren't wasting your time and you're not cutting your wire and having to strip it all over again. This is the one that I recommend, especially if you're adding wiring to an old wire in a box, because when you've got a wire that's been bent around a screw for a long time, and let's say it's been attached to a receptacle, and over time, they've opened it and closed it, opened it and closed it. It's moved around as heat, as vibration is moving around a lot. What happens is, like any metal, it just breaks off, okay? So that wear and tear becomes an issue, and that's a bad contact. Now, if you have a plug that stops working, that might be the problem. So you can take it out, double check. All you'd have to do is get your wire strippers, pull a little bit of this, grab an extra piece of wire, stick a Wago on it, make it long enough, put a new connector to your plug. But if it's too short, this is where Wago comes in really handy, because you can't make a connection here, okay? I can't get in there with my new wire and twist that on without almost needing a third hand or a fourth finger or whatever. I mean, here's the point. You take your Wago connectors, you lift up your gates, you can stick it in the gate, close the door. Now you've got an extension for your wire so you're working outside the box. Brilliant little helper. If you have a broken light switch, get the new one, all right? This is brand new technology on the market. You're gonna love this. This is perfect for the DIYer. Let me show you why you want this switch. This is kind of like the invention of the Wago all over again. All we're doing is pushing the wire into the back here, okay? These two holes, black and black, tie the white separately. And then when you're pushing that in, there are no screws on that to make contact with your box. It's just on and off. It's the new Decora, but this is the way to go. The Leviton company is coming out with a whole line. So they've got them for receptacles now. They're gonna be evolving that into pretty much everything they sell over the next couple of years. Make sure you turn the power off first. All right, let's just get started. And we'll pull them together. I'll show you what's going on here. Wow, that is just a confusing mess. To understand what's going on in here, all the whites are tied together in the back, and the power is coming into this room, and then this wire here goes to this switch, and all they did was take the sheathing off of that piece of wire, wrap the screw, and then continued running it over to this switch. So before we go too crazy, we're gonna pull out the tester here, and we're gonna check to see if there's any power in any of this, and it would go red if there was. What I have to do is understand that this is where all the power is. Now, they're using this like a junction box for a lot of the plugs and everything else on the main floor. So they ran the power to this location, and then there's other wires leaving the box to go to the rest of the hallway. All right, so this is power coming in. You can tell because it's joined on the same wire. All right, so let's get rid of that. I'm gonna untwist all that, set that aside as live power, okay? And then I'm gonna cut this one off. This wire goes to my switch for my lights, and this wire goes to my fan. So that's my light, and that's my fan feed. As a DIYer, you're not gonna try to get new wire and twist all this back together again. We're gonna make this simple. We're gonna strip all these hot leads. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my Wago nuts, okay? This is actually a 5-pack. Which is perfect for this scenario. And there we go. We're gonna open up every one of these gates. And we're gonna put the original power in here first. There we go. And then we're gonna strip here. And this will become the power for my fan timer and power for my light. All right, now they're all in there nice and tight. We can push all that to the back. And there we are. So the new switch technology is kind of like a Wago switch, if that's fair enough to say, even though Wago is not associated with this company. This is the strip gauge. You can test to see how long that's supposed to be. This particular wire is just a hair long. So we're gonna cut it back just a hair. The idea here is we can install this, guaranteeing there's no copper exposed on the back, so it can't touch any other wires when you push it back into the box. We're gonna line this up, take my knife, and I'll mark it so now I can see where my spot is. There we go, perfect size. Now, light switches are simple. The switch itself will say top. So that's off, that's on. In the off position, power comes into the bottom, and then when you push to the top, the power comes out the top. That's how easy this is. So you take these tabs, and they're a little stiff, and you open it all the way up. It's gonna feel like you're gonna break it, but you're not. What you're doing is you're sliding the gate in the back open, so you can stick that wire all the way in, and then close it. That wire's got a bit of a bend in it, so we're gonna take our square end pliers, straighten it out, and then done. Yeah, that's easy. You want to always put a bend in your wires. So we're gonna just line that up, make sure everything is square. Just get a few threads, and then we'll do the bottom. That way you can still see, and then we'll drive the screws. We want to leave just enough of a wiggle on there that we can get the cover plate over and test later. It really is just plug and play, right? This is not the kind of stuff you need an electrician for. My God, you could teach a 10-year-old to change switches if you want to. If you have a bathroom switch and all it does is go on and off, you need to replace it. And here's the why. Because when people are done using the bathroom, they're heading out, they turn off the power. Most people shower using hot water, and that makes steam. And that steam takes time to evacuate, and you want to get that moisture out of the room. It'll help to dry out your tile and keep your showers from actually going to mold. So what I'm going to suggest, you got two options. You can get the timer switch. When you walk in the bathroom, you can hit this switch and set it for 5, 10, 15, or 30 minutes. That's a lot more ideal. Now, if you don't have people in your house that are being that responsible, you can always go with this option. Here's a humidistat switch. So if you have a great fan from a Panasonic, like I do in this house, they all have humidity sensors and they all have constant power. They're always evacuating whenever there's moisture in the air. But if you have a basement or a wet area and you want to make sure that even if after people are done and they left the room, turn the power off, if there's moisture in the air, this will sense it and it'll turn the fan on and it'll stay on until it gets down to that relative humidity that's safe for you, all right? So these are the options. I kid you not, I actually need one of these in my house right now. Most dangerous part of this job is opening the packaging. Keep your wits about you. How many wires are we dealing with here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna take this apart and put this on a Wago as well. You can't put more than 5 wires into single moret in this situation. We're gonna start from scratch. I'm gonna trim up the ends. This particular case, I'm gonna need an extra little piece of wire. 4 of these in. All right, so now I've got my connector to the other Wago, and I've got my 5th wire. Now the original neutrals are all reinstated. All I have to do, take the stranded line and run that in there. Close that gate. There's the line. That's the power coming in. These are a couple of double Wagos. Close that gate. Connect that wire. There we go. And then we'll take the load, which means that going to the fixture. Okay, so before we go and put everything back, let's go and turn that breaker back on and we'll make sure everything works. Now, if we do this right, the breaker will set instead of trip. So far, so good. So here we go. This is the switch. It lights up. I hear a fan working. Pick how much time you want, 5, 10, 15, or 30. And that's the kill switch. And here's the light switch. There we go. Now all we gotta do is get all of these wires back in there. It comes a pretty busy box, eh? So a combination of smart switches and some Wagos makes every homeowner a DIY electrician. All right, here we go. Now, we're done. On to the next project. Let's talk lighting. First of all, we're gonna show you the simplest LED light that you can put in your home. If you own one of these original can lights, these bad boys were designed to put in, oh my God, we've been using these since the 70s. And generally they were good for insulation contact as well. They were a great solution. You can put them anywhere, but only during new construction because they're huge, okay? And they go with halogen lights, and those bulbs cost a fortune. So Halo has made a conversion kit. Boom, this is now your light bulb. We screw this in. We're installing a harness that goes where the old light bulb used to screw into. And what we're gonna do is we're going to attach this harness to our new light fixture. And here's all you gotta do to be an electrician today. Done. All right, just pinch the ends. And what you're looking for is right up here. You'll see there's a little metal bracket. If you pinch them together and you squeeze them right up in there, then they'll sit in that harness, all right? And all you have to do is just make sure you're not squeezing any wires, and there you go. Now you've swapped out an old expensive halogen for a brand new light fixture. This thing will pay for itself within 6 months, and then you're making money for the rest of your life. So next, let's talk about the LED Slimline 4-inch light. These are amazing. I think these are the most common sold light in America today. The reason being is it is really small, and it can be installed anywhere, so you don't have to think about it. You can put it in insulation contact. You can put this in a wet area. It comes with a gasket so that the vapor doesn't get through, right? Plus, they've gotten a lot better in recent years. Nowadays, they on the control box, you get to pick your color temperature of the lighting scheme that you want. And if you change your mind down the road as trends change, you can just pop your light fixture out, pull the box out, change the color temperature, and your whole home can change moods instantly, which is amazing flexibility for a light fixture, okay? Now, the way we're going to install this is really simple. It actually just attaches to the drywall. So you can take a stud finder, double check there's nothing in the way, and drill a hole and stick in a light. You can put 100 of these on one circuit, or if you're replacing an old octagon box in the middle of your ceiling, you can pop that box out, use that wire as the first wire of the circuit. You can attach that and then run wire to other lights in the same room. You can go up to 10 of these on the same old light switch power. You know, 10 of these is the same power as one 60-watt incandescent bulb, so you don't even have to worry about if you're drawing too much power. Anytime, anywhere, these will solve your problems in 99% of the case. So, first we're going to talk about how to make a hole. I got a great little hole drilling kit here from Milwaukee. This is a simple little thing. It's got some teeth on it for cutting through drywall. Adjust it to the size that you want. You can measure from tooth to tooth to make sure it's just a little bit more than 4 inches for this hole. And then we are going to stick the drill bit in. Once the bit's in, it doesn't adjust anymore. Here we go. First the pilot hole goes into the drywall, and then the teeth. It is that simple, one and done. There's all the dust that would have been all over your furniture and in the air that you've collected nice and safe. All right, so we're gonna take this apart. It just unthreads and then pops out. Those go together on a pin configuration, so when it's time to put it together, you just line them up and screw it back on. Nice and easy. So now we got our control box. And to wire this is really kind of simple, all right? We need some 14-2 Romex. It comes from the light switch, black, white ground, comes to your light fixture. And all we do when we're doing any of our light assemblies is attaching black to black and white to white and ground to ground. That's it. We're gonna take a look at our box and prep the box first before we do any wiring. And they come with these really quick connect systems on them and knock out holes, okay? Once you get your little tab knocked out, you're going to want to grab some of these. It's called a cable connector. It's a 1/2-inch Lumex fitting. Find it in your electrical aisle at your local hardware store. And it's really simple. It comes with something here that grabs the wire so it doesn't pull out of the box. So what we do is we compress it, we stick it in the hole, and then it sits there right in that ridge. So it doesn't pull out. If you're doing with new wiring, that's great. There's no power to new wiring until you attach it to the switch. If this is an existing wire, make sure that there's no power in it. You can use a tester like this. You push the button, you get a green light. You simply hold it up against that black wire. If there's no power, then it won't change. If there is power, it'll beep and go red. All right? We're gonna slide our wire over there about 3/4 of an inch. We're gonna press it, we're gonna twist it, and it'll just slide right off without damaging the copper. Okay? Do the same to the other side. Nice and simple. Now we're going to stick it in through our wire connector. And once you get it in, okay, you can see it's right there. What we're going to do is we're going to bend the wires so that when you finish pushing them through, they come out and there's lots of room to work. Now up here, all you got to do is make sure that the sheathing goes past this little gray tab here, and then that gray tab holds onto that sheathing forever so it never pops out. On the inside of the box, you just double check, you should see it. If you don't, push it down a little bit more. There we go. So now this wire won't pull out of the box. Nice and safe. All we have left to do here now is separate these wires, and we will start with the ground, and it works this simple on this connector. We put it in until there's resistance, and then we push. And you'll see the wire sticking right through the clear cap. The connection is made back here, but seeing the wire extend into this translucent cap here is how you know that you've got good contact. We're going to press it into the box, get it out of our way, and then we'll do another color. Let's do the white next, and see there's actually room here to add extra wires. So you can add more wires so you can go from this fixture and then run to the next fixture and create a loop. But for us, we're just going to run that one fixture here. Nice and simple. Same with the black. Push. You can see the wire sticking through. Now, this is a no-no. See, I can see some cable. It's actually a little bit too long. Whoops, I made a mistake. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna cut a little bit less sheathing off. Okay, now I'm gonna stick that in a different hole. All right, push all of that in the box. Snap it shut. Now we're basically done installing this. We're gonna grab our fixture. This has a groove, and this one has a ridge on this side right here. So you don't just line up the pins only, you line up that ridge and that groove. When you got the right spot, they'll just wiggle together, right like that. Then you bring on the connector and tighten it on. Don't rely on the threads to pull everything together, okay? If it doesn't go together easy, it's not in right. Now all we do is push this up into the ceiling, push this into the ceiling. We'll lift this up to 90 degrees, set it on the drywall. We'll make sure all the wires are out of the way. And then we're going to lift that one vertical and then just slide it right in. There we go. Perfect every time. The next solution for your home is your TV area. Nobody wants to see the wires dangling, and so there's a couple of ways that we can introduce solutions after the fact. This one is a simple box that opens up into the wall cavity, and it keeps things nice and tidy. Now this is what we call a low voltage box because it's designed for things like your Ethernet or your PS5 cable going up there, your HDMIs, right? So here in my forever home, we installed the box in advance, anticipating that problem, and have all that technology and a Cat6 cable sitting there as well. But in my current house where I'm renting, I need a solution because it's ugly. So I'm gonna go install these right now. It's time to level up our game. Step one, guys, is take a piece of tape, and we're going to tape the wall directly under the TV, and that's gonna mark the area that we can't see. Pull out the HDMI, pull out the Cat5, yeah, unplug all of our toys, and honestly, I don't need 100 feet of this cable anymore. Take off the TV, there we go. Boy, where am I going? So the plan, in concept, is to put one higher than what we can see, right? And then one down here, lower than the height of our table or console. Now, any idiot can just go and punch a couple of holes and shove this in the wall. But what you need to do is make sure that when you put a wire up here, it can come out down there. So, in order to do that, we need to grab a stud finder and understand how the house is built. First of all, we have a cold air return, which is great for us because we know there's no mechanical in the wall between here and here. Mechanical comes from under the floor. So plumbing, heat, all the electrical wires, all of that stuff. I know that that screw is in a frame, okay? And I can probably just have a frame there. Bam, stud right there. So here's my cavity. So we're gonna go check for another stud, which is a vertical lumber. Right there, okay? About the middle. And the same there, there's a stud over there. So one here, because all of our plugs, electrical and our Ethernet, it's all over here. And the table goes here with our HDMI. We're gonna go in between these two studs in this cavity here. I'm gonna mark here and then here. And that is just a little bit wider than this little plate. I'm gonna start by cutting right here. How high up do we want to go? We also want to put one down here. 4. Now let's see if that fits. Very nice. See if it fits up here. Well, that was easy. This is actually as simple as using a little bit of gravity. Work our way down. There's one, and there's the other. All right, really want to get a whole lot of that in the wall. Now, the extra 25 feet, I'm gonna leave in the wall cavity. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's a low voltage wire anyway, so I just wanna have the right amount sticking out here, and basically going from here over to here. There we go. Beautiful thing about this is if you have multiple connections, you just shove them through the hole and it closes up on itself. And it does a really good job of keeping things tidy and organized. And do the same thing down here with these two. Just to demonstrate, it starts off like this. And then as I start screwing it in, it opens up. And it compresses in the wall on that drywall between the fin and the cover plate. Nice and easy. Little pinch. Nice and gentle on the trigger here. There we go. From beneath the table, and to beneath the television. Now you just push all the wires back in, get them out of the way, and then we install the TV and only pull out as much cable as we actually need. Adding a media console completes the look. Now here we are, we're talking about something that's actually life and death, all right? I want you guys to go out and update the most modern smoke and CO alarm systems that are on the market. They come as a dual now. You can get a harness to go from your old smoke into this new system. It's only a few bucks, you can upgrade everything. If you have an older house, you can even buy these battery pack only and they can connect together through your internet, all right? Get the best protection that you can for your family where you're living. Meet the code using wireless technology if you need to, but get it because it's going to save lives. By the way, this one here comes with a 10-year built-in battery backup, so you can't accidentally have a problem during a power outage. Now there are a couple of different manufacturers of these alarms, okay? This one is my local store carries the Kitty products, and it comes with a harness. And the idea here is you have a mounting plate, and then you've got your machine, and you have this little harness area in the back. And so this particular harness, you rest it in, and it slides over to engage, all right? Beautiful. You yank this out, and it makes the batteries that are in this package make contact. This is just a dust cover for during construction. Most of the time these are installed, and there's still work going on in the house, so it comes with a dust cover on it. That's great. And if you're lucky, the old one is a Kitty as well. And what they do is they sell this. This is like $3, so don't be shy. This can save you a lot of wiring. That plugs into the old Kitty harness. And this is the replica that slides into the back of here. So you can actually convert a new from an old, okay? Bam, and that's how that would work. We do not have the original Kitties. So I've got to do the old-fashioned way. So I've got to take this off, and I'm going to change the harness and the mounting plate, okay? Sounds like a lot of work, but it's not. It'll only take a minute. Here we are, and we just twist, and they pop right out. Oh, there's your harness. These particular models are good for 10 years. Has a little spot where you're supposed to write down what the expiry date is. There's one in the other room, and it's marked down, replaced by 2025. That's a 10-year life cycle. That's as good as the battery pack that works in here was. Just out of curiosity, I want to know, does the Kitty work on the old harness? Of course not. Proprietary, big surprise. There we go. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Now that that's out of the way, we can pull all of our wires, right? We got the blacks, we got the whites, and we got the reds. And what we want to do before we move any further is make sure that I turn the right breaker off. I go to green and I check my blacks and my reds. There we go. No power up here. I did it right. Yay. Okay, that means I'm safe. So we can take the reds off. Oh yeah. Okay, garbage. Because we're going into Moretz, I'm going to extend that strand wire, make it a little bit longer. This is a much smaller gauge, so you pick a much smaller tooth. And we're going to make these a good 1 inch long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-wrap my stranded wire and then twist this on until it doesn't twist no more. Okay. Now they're stranded wire, but the ends have been treated with a little bit of solder. So it's nice to pinch that on. There we go. Good. Whew. Now, we'll push all these wires back up into the box. And we'll put our new mounting plate on. These are all going to be standard sizes, okay? There's no secrets here, no surprises. We simply screw that on, just gently snug, okay? It's made of plastic, and so it can twist and bend and make attaching it difficult. Now, we're ready to go. We're live. That small little beep there means that the batteries are working. We're gonna connect that, push those wires up into the hole by twisting as we push it up. And then we're just going to engage until we got a good connection. Get rid of our dust mask. Now we've got smoke and CO2 in one. Good for another 10 years. Now for the record, I am not an electrician, but I do know enough that I can do all these types of things in the area where I live and be successful with it. And that's why I'm sharing all these different hacks and products with you guys. A quick note, rules change by location, by country, and by state. Okay, so make sure you check out the local codes where you live. And make sure to jump in the comment section and let me know what kind of electrical hacks you swear by, what products you love, and what you'd like to see next on this channel. And if you got comments about my installation and you're an electrician, feel free, give me your best shot. Cheers till next time.